Right, hello and welcome back to some more Anchorhead interactive fiction. Um, I must admit, I tried a bit offline, or rather off video, because I was a bit stuck, and I found out a couple new things that we can look up now. Actually, quite a few things. Also, one thing I did was I went back to the start of the day and actually stole Michael's faculty card because I think it's gonna be important later on. Maybe not like game-breakingly important, but there's gonna be some stuff we can look up that we couldn't without it, I think. Um, so we're still at the path behind the house, and the first thing I found out though was something in the cellar. So let's go back into the house, which is to the south. Um, Northwest is the pantry. And then we want to go down. And then we want to go south. So in the storage now, and I tried earlier to open the crates, open the boxes, look at the boxes, but one thing I didn't try, obviously, was search boxes for some reason. And opening boxes doesn't work, but search boxes does. So let's see what happens. You spend some time poking dispiritedly through boxes of second-hand table settings, discarded shoes and outdated encyclopedias. But the only thing you manage to dig up is an old cardboard box full of newspaper clippings, which might make interesting reading later if you can find the time. The only thing at all noteworthy about the room, in fact, is that it desperately wants cleaning. There's even a big, nasty-looking spiderweb in a corner behind one of the crates. I don't know why it tells us that we want to clean it here, but we might as well try. So I'll take the clippings, or rather, put clippings in coat. I don't want to carry them around in my hand, of course. You don't have a lid for the box. If you put it in your pocket, the clippings will just fall out and get lost. What does that mean? Can't I just take the clippings and put them in the pocket without the box? Do I just have to carry the box around? Well, okay. So, clean room. Clean. What do you want to clean? Spiderweb. What? I didn't have this before, actually. You gingerly stick your hand into the tangled spiderweb, and something light and skittery crawls across your skin and bites you. Quickly you jerk back, compulsively wiping your hand on your pants. The bite itself didn't hurt all that much, but the thought of spiders crawling around on your skin gives you the willies. I don't know if that's good. I'm gonna die of this, right? I think I'll undo this. Previous turn undone. Which turn is that? I hope it's the cleaning, because it says storage. Clean web with broom. Oh, I don't have the broom right now, right? So let's go north and up and southeast and south and west, east. Take broom west, north, northwest, down, south. Clean spider web. With a single sweep of the broom, you clear the spider web away. I mean, that must be significant, that spider bite, mustn't it? Also, Now we can see an old-fashioned iron key, probably behind the spider web, right? Take iron key. Aha! You pick up the old-fashioned iron key. It's an old key, the kind with a round barrel about a quarter-inch and a diameter flat, square teeth. So north, up, southeast, switch off light, put all in code, put old key on keyring. Okay. Read clippings. Oh, we get an entire new menu for that. Look at that. That's a lot. Printed notice, crumpled flyer, obituary. Should I read them in order or by time of... I think I'm going to read them by time of publication. So London Times, March 3rd, 1918. Painting sells for £1,000. Sight unseen. This is going to be a lot of reading, guys, but that's fine, I think. The infamous mystic, Aleister Crowley. That's a name that seems familiar. Purchased a painting at an auction at Sotheby's for £1,000 sterling on Monday without so much as glancing at it. The painting, entitled The Legacy, is by the late American Elijah Verlac and was sold along with numerous other pieces by a representative of the Verlac estate. Crowley reportedly strode into the auction room wearing full ceremonial robes and immediately bid £1,000, well over twice the going bid. He ordered it wrapped and transported immediately to his home. It is not known whether Crowley had ever seen the painting before arriving at the auction. "I've never seen anything like it," said Sir Walton Ratcliffe, Esquire, presiding auctioneer for the Verlac exhibit, "but I suppose it one might expect such behavior from a person who calls himself the Great Beast." Mordecai Verlac, Elijah's grandson and executor of the Verlac estate, was not present at the auction. Crowley has stated that he has never met Mordecai Verlac and has no desire to. "I encountered Verlac in a former life. He's..." What? "I encountered Verlac in a former life?" He's reported as saying, and "I would not do so again for all the kingdoms in Hades. He has gone where I dare not." Elijah Verlac is known by art historians more for his grotesque, continued on A25, so we probably can't read that, right? So there's a couple of things I want to note down here in our little document. Also, I think I'm going to put all the Verlacs together. Otherwise, this is gonna start to be hard to keep straight. So we have Julia and Anna Verlac. So who do we have? Mordecai and Elijah. Mordecai Verlac. We're gonna have to look up their dates as well, their birth dates. Elijah's grandson. Executor of Verlac estate. Elijah Verlac. painter known for grotesques. Should I write down Alistair Crowley as well? Yeah, why not? I mean, Alistair Okay. Crowley. Bought Elijah's painting for 1,000. Oh, I don't even know where the pound symbol is. I don't think I have it on my German keyboard, or do I? Let's just say pounds. Okay, so how about... So next in line would be 1933 Arkham Herald, right? London Times, so that's over in Britain. Arkham Herald, that's in New England already, I'm not sure. Anthropologists turned away in property dispute. Prominent anthropologist Dr. Joseph Corbin's repeated attempts to secure permission to set up an archaeological dig in nearby Anchorhead came to an end yesterday when he lost his suit against the Reverend Mordecai Verlac. There he is again. The case has been pending for over 6 months. The Reverend Verlac has strongly disputed Corbin's right to dig in the area, contending that the land in question belongs to the ancestral Verlac estate and is therefore his private property. Last week, Reverend Verlac's lawyers presented conclusive evidence of prior ownership. The judge quickly ruled in his favor. Dr. Corbin, who is a protege and close personal friend of the noted folklorist Dr. J. Arnsworth Fraser, hoped to discover relics of the little-known Miscut Indian culture, which is believed to have inhabited this area centuries prior to European settlement. Where are we? Corbin called the decision a travesty. Many expected scholars at nearby Miskatonic University to rally behind Corbin's battle, but most of the faculty have been strangely continued on DA. Anything new? I mean, nothing except the fact that Mordecai is a reverend as well. I don't think we need need to write down any of the other stuff, like the name of the tribe or the name of the researcher. Nah. So that's 35, that's like 17 years later, and then 58 is like 25 years later. Arkham Herald, we have one from 56 actually. Church closed. Preacher suspect in communist crackdown. Oh, that's the McCarthy era. That's right, 56. Church of Celestial Wisdom in Anchorhead, Massachusetts, was shut down and its congregation disbanded yesterday after its pastor, the Reverend Mordecai Verlac. So he's still around in 56. He's 70 in 56, it seems. Was accused of distributing communist propaganda to his parishioners. Authorities in Arkham were informed by an anonymous call 2 days earlier. The caller told us that the Reverend was preaching not from the good book, but from a terrible book, and they had been warning them about some kind of invasion or great event that would be happening soon, said Sergeant Biedermeier of the Arkham Police Department. Oh, the literary references. It smelled red to me, so I made the decision to call our HUAC representative up in Salem. Oh, the historical references. The raid commenced shortly after morning services began at 8 a.m. in order to confiscate printed material and catch any possible accomplices. Before they could hide or destroy evidence. No officers who participated in the raid were available for comment, although one man out of the building afterwards was allegedly overheard saying that it was the worst thing he'd ever seen. The Church of Celestial Wisdom was founded in 1860 by Reverend Verlac's grandfather, the notorious orator and painter Elijah Verlac. The building, which is considered by many to be historical, continued on A12. Right, so there's these two names again. So Elijah was also an orator, painter known for grotesques. So I don't think Mordecai spoke about communist invasion, rather more like a invasion of the disciples and monsters of Cthulhu or something. But they took it as if he was speaking about communism, especially since we're talking about the 50s, right? 58. Respected physician retires unexpectedly. Dr. Timothy Rebus. I want to write that name down. A respected Oh yeah, I think I wanna. Obstetrician at Arkham Sisters of Mercy Hospital for the last 20 years announced his retirement yesterday to a stunned board of directors. Gave no reason for his unexpected decision. I'm truly stunned, said Bernard Talbot, chairman of the board. No one saw this coming. No one. A source within the hospital who wished to remain anonymous described the doctor's abrupt departure to a nervous breakdown, but this has not been confirmed by any of Dr. Rebus's colleagues. Continued on B5. That's the old man on the lot, right? He was the doctor of Anna and Julia, or of Anna's rather, and I guess he retired and became slightly mad after what happened to little William. So I'm definitely gonna write this name down and ask him about it. Dr. Timothy Rebus. Old man from the abandoned plot? Question mark. Bernard Talbot? Probably not important. And lastly, 88, that's like 9 years ago. Oh no, 73 first. Wait, was that it? Well, I mean, if he resigned in like 58, and now it's 40, what is it, 97? So, like 39 years later. I mean, they're stunned, so he might have resigned while he was like 40 or something, right? He must have been 40 if he's been a physician for 20 years. I mean, actually, he must have been like 45 at least, even if he was like fast with his studies and everything. So let's say he was 45. This is 40 years roughly later. So he'd be 85 by now. I mean, that kind of works. It's very old for someone living on the street, though, to be still alive. If that is really him. So now we have 73. Bones discovered in woods, child feared dead. The bones of what police believe to be a small child were discovered yesterday by picnickers in the woods near Birch Road, just south of Anchorhead. Police have drawn no conclusions as yet, but there's a strong suspicion that the bones may be the remains of Christopher Tilworth, who disappeared near that area 2 weeks ago. Sergeant Ronald Franklin of the Arkham Police was not optimistic. We've contacted the boy's mother, and we are trying to prepare for the worst, he says. He said, no one here wants to give up hope prematurely, but the general feeling here is we found the boy. The remains, which consisted of a femur and partial skull, are being shipped to a forensic lab in Boston for further analysis. Rumors that the bones display teeth marks consistent with animal bites are so far unsubstantiated. I'm gonna write that name down. I don't know about that boy. That's Christopher Tilworth. Did I write that correctly? Christopher Tilworth, yeah. Boy who disappeared. In, what was this, 1973? Christopher, who would have turned 7 on the 19th, is the 5th child to disappear in the last. Continued on 8/10. 5th child to disappear? Oh well. So if he turned 7 on the 19th of what? 19th of June. 73. So his birth date is 19th June 66. Along with 4 others. 88 then. Conflagration claims paper mill again. Arkham firefighters worked late into the night yesterday, battling a blaze that brought Anchorhead's historic paper mill to the ground despite their best efforts. The mill, which provides job for roughly 2/3 of the town's population, wow, caught fire yesterday around 4 p.m. Although there have been rumors of an explosion, the exact cause of the fire remains unknown. Fire Inspector Donald Brown remains puzzled. There is evidence of chemical burns that are inconsistent with the materials used in paper manufacture, he told reporters. There's metal fused with metal in there. It's all messed up. Interestingly, this is not the first time the Anchorhead mill has burned. The original mill was built by Wilhelm Verlac. Another name. Wilhelm, that's a German name. Verlac. Built by Wilhelm Verlac in the latter part of the 17th century. And historical records indicate that it burned down after only 10... Yes, the mill was rebuilt by Wilhelm's grandson Heinrich Verlac, also a German name, a few decades later. So I suppose the Verlac family were immigrants from Germany, right? Also 17th century, that's before the US was even founded. This one lasted only shortly before the Civil War, and some still hold that it was burned down by Confederate sympathizers. Current mill was rebuilt in 1922 by Heinrich's great-great-grandson, Reverend Mordecai Verlac. Mordecai, in addition to being a fiery preacher and outspoken prohibitionist, was quite wealthy and owned numerous and widespread investments. At the age of 70, this controversial figure was accused of spreading communism, as we've learned. So Wilhelm Verlac, we don't really know anything about him. Heinrich. Oh, Heinrich Verlac. Wilhelm's grandson. There's a lot of grandparent stuff going on here. So Mordecai was also a prohibitionist. Maybe I'm going to write that down. Reverend prohibitionist, Liver's grandson executor, Verlac estate at the time. Right, so now we have a couple of other stuff here, like a printed notice. Mimeographed page dated February 10th, 1959. Any information regarding the whereabouts of Daryl Beasley, age 9, should be reported immediately to the Anchorhead police. Daryl was last seen by his mother after she dropped him off at the Route 20 bus stop. just north of Old Milltown Road, at 8:30 a.m. 3 days ago. He was not there when the bus made a scheduled stop at 8:36 a.m. Daryl is 4 feet 10 inches tall, of slight build, with brown hair and brown eyes. At the time of his disappearance, he was wearing brown corduroy pants, blue sneakers, and a white short-sleeved button-down shirt. If you've seen Daryl Beasley, or if you know anything about his disappearance, please call 555-4362. February 10th. When was the time the other boys vanished? That was 73 though, right? Christopher Tilworth, boy who disappeared in 73. So the town seems to have a history of vanishing boys. Let's write that name down as well. Daryl Beasley. Daryl Beasley. Boy who disappeared 3 days ago is 7th, right? 07/02/1959. Age 9. We don't know his exact birth date, but we might look that up. We want to write down that other date as well for Christopher Tilworth. That was 73, so... Oh, we don't know exactly, we just know the... Just know the date the bones were found. Okay, so that's printed notice. How about crumpled flyer? Crumpled flyer showing a blurry snapshot of a young girl with short curly hair. Have you seen me? Tara Luffington. Last seen March 25, 1982. Age at disappearance 6. Age today 10. Hair red. Eyes green. Last wearing green t-shirt, white tennis shoes, blue overalls with a button that reads I love cats. Any information, please call 555-4362. It's the same number. But this is 59 and this is 82, so phone number didn't change in like 30 years. That's interesting. So Tara Luffington. No, last seen March 82 when she was 6. Tara Luffington. Girl who disappeared on 25/03/1982, aged 6. Obituary. Friends and family will grieve the loss of Sergeant Howard Biedermeier. Oh! Who died on October 28, 1956 at the age of 46 of complications following a massive aneurysm. Yeah, I'm sure. Howard was a loving husband and a devoted public servant. Services will be held this Saturday at the Good Earth Funeral Home, 9 a.m. Aha. So I think I'm gonna write that name down as well. Howard Biedermeier. Sergeant. Also, his death date is 28/10/1956. And if he was 46, then he was born either in 1910 or 1909. He did... Where did we read that, though? When was that? 56? Right. Kohler told us that the Reverend was preaching from the good book, but from a terrible book. And that he had been warning them about some kind of invasion or great event that would be happening soon, said Sergeant Biedermeier of the Arkham Police Department. It smelled red to me, so I made the decision to call our representative up in Salem. So Biedermeier is the police officer who ratted out Mordecai to the anti-communists, basically, and started the raid. And he died August 12th. He died like 2 months later of a brain aneurysm. Yeah, right. Who gave info about Mordecai to what's their name? Anti-communists? To the FBI or what? To probably the FBI, I guess. They were in charge of like the witch hunts of the 50s, right? Obituary. Witch hunts of the 50s, right? Also cool that there's a representative of them sitting in Salem. Yeah, right. Right, obituary, so photostatic copy. Photostatic copy of much older document. The notation at the bottom dates it at the end of the 18th century. Be it known that through the generosity and enterprise of the Honourable Goodman Heinrich Verlac, the Miskatonic Valley Mill shall be rebuilt, even upon the ashes of the old, which was tragically burnt. And be it known that, upon its new christening, there shall arise a sore need for men of able body and industrious bent to work therein, and be it known that the Honourable Goodman Heinrich Verlac is thereby holding a general call for employment, and any honest man of working age is encouraged to apply. Alright. Already have Heinrich. End of 18th century, yeah. And lastly, announcement. It is with great joy that Gwyneth and Paul Ward announced the engagement of their only daughter, Julia Gwendolyn Ward, to Dr. Edward Philip Verlac. Edward is an associate professor of history at Miskatonic University in Anchorhead, Massachusetts. Julia plans to attend medical school at Arkham College. They plan a late June wedding. We wish them good fortune and long happiness in their union. The announcement is dated December 12th, 1948, and is accompanied by a picture of the young couple. She has long dark hair and a serious expression. He, although only in his 20s, is already starting to bald a little. You find yourself unable to tear your eyes away from his face for some time. Seems open and guileless, and he's clearly very happy. There is no hint there of the nightmare his world would one day become. Yeah, that's Julia and Philip. So Edward had a second name. That's interesting. Edward Philip. We still don't know who JWV is. Do we have any Verlac starting with a J? No. Unless William has like another first name, of course. 1960s, so he was married when he was 24, sorry. To Julia when she was 20. And then murdered her when she was 33 and died when he was like 36. Or when she was 32, I guess. And did they have a daughter at that point? I don't know. So Gwyneth and Paul Ward, do I want to look those up? Maybe. Maybe not. So Michael is also an associate professor at Miskatonic University now. And what do we do for a living, actually? I have no idea. Late June. Wait. 28th June 1997 is our wedding anniversary. That can't be a coincidence, right? The similarities between Julia and Edward on the one hand, and Michael and ourselves on the other hand, are pretty striking then. It's just 13 years down the road. Or probably like 12 years. So if they announced it in 1984 and they're planning a late June wedding, then they're probably married in 1985. So 12 years prior. Okay, that's all though, right? That's so much though. So we're in the kitchen. I don't think I want to, like, drag the cardboard box around all the time, right? So let's go northwest. Light. Down, south. Drop. Cardboard box. North. Up. Southwest. Southeast. Switch off light. Go north. Path behind the house, okay. And now I think we want to go into the forest. Oh no, wait. South, southeast in the foyer. East sitting room. Now west, up. East, north, sit on chair. And now I wanna take album, look up all these people. So who do we have? It's just about Verlac, so, and it's published in 1944. Look up Anna. Do we have Anna, maybe? She was born in 36. Oh, that's also the wrong book. Put manual in quote. Take oh no, wait. Look up Anna in album. Look up. I'm gonna put this over on the other screen. Look up Elijah. Aha. The entry reads, Elijah Verlac traveled to Europe in 1826 to study painting and to research the Verlac genealogy. So Elijah is the orator painter who's known for his grotesques. Traveled to Europe in 24 to study painting and to research the Verlac genealogy. Returned to Anchorhead in 1832. Entered the seminary at Arkham College in 34. Ordained in 44. So he's also like a reverend. Began construction of the Church of Celestial Wisdom in Anchorhead in 1860. Accused of Confederate sympathies in 62. Retired from the clergy and devoted life to painting in 1873. One of the earliest photographic portraits in the album. Depicts a man in his 60s at least. His face is deeply scored by time. His skin mottled with liver spots, his long grey hair swept back from his high bony forehead. This man resembles the portrait in the sitting room more than any of the others, for he has practically the same eyes, the raw bloodshot madness, staring out from hollow caves in his skull. You note another interesting detail. He appears to have an extra digit, a sixth finger on his right hand. Okay, so Elijah Verlac, he's so Reverend until 1862, accused of Confederate sympathies, orator and painter. Painter from 1873 onwards. That's interesting. So we have two Verlacs who are already accused of kind of treason or working for the enemy at that at their particular lifetimes, right? He was accused of Confederate sympathies. Mordecai was accused of communist sympathies. Known for grotesques, and has sixth finger on right hand. Right, next up, Wilhelm. Wilhelm Verlac fled with mother Eustacia Verlac during the witch burnings of 1653, returned to Anchorhead in 1663, elected mayor of Anchorhead in 1690, built the Miskatonic River Mill in 1695, began construction of the lighthouse in 1706. The picture is a reproduction of a charcoal sketch, probably done when he was a younger man. The similarities to the portrait in the sitting room is evident, though. The patrician nose, the harsh, thin line of the mouth, the lean, wolfish jaw. It's his eyes, however, that carry the true family resemblance. Even in the rough, colorless strokes of charcoal, you can see that they're edged with the same raw madness that haunts the red-tinged gaze of the sitting room portrait. You can hear Michael in the next room typing away. Oh, that's ominous! I think this is the best place to read those, of course, for atmosphere's sake. So a couple of interesting things. First of all, the Verlacs seem to be a very important family in this area, right? We kind of knew that, but they basically built everything there is in this city. They built the paper mill and rebuilt it a couple of times after it was burned down. They were the reverends. They were important in the clergy in town. They were mayors some of the time, like Wilhelm was. They built the lighthouse. Yet they were also accused of like treason or cooperating with enemies of the country or whatever a couple of times. Right? Witch burnings involved in that. Fled the witch burnings. Then Confederate sympathizer, then communist sympathizer. I see a pattern here. And they all have the weird eyes. Also, they say he looks like the portrait, but it said that Elijah looked like the portrait even more, right? I also want to add that to Elijah. Sixth finger on right hand. Looks most like sitting room portrait. Mordecai, Wilhelm. So Wilhelm fled Salem witch hunts, right? And there was a representative from Salem later on again, who was the anti-communist that raided Elijah's church, or Mordecai's church rather, sorry. Fled Salem witch hunts. Or is 1653, is that the Salem witch hunts actually? I'm gonna look that up now. Salem witch hunts. Salem witch trials. Oh no, that's much later. Or is it? The Salem witch trials were a series of hearings and prosecutions of people accused of accused of witchcraft in colonial Massachusetts between February 1692 and May 1693. So that's later. That's when Wilhelm was already in Anchorhead. He was building the mill, and after he was elected mayor. But apparently there were witch burnings earlier. I mean, just assuming the game is historically correct in that regard. Right, so what do I want to write down? Wilhelm fled 1653 witch burnings. Mayor of Anchorhead from 1690 onwards. And that's it, I think. Also, Eustacia, whatever. I'm gonna write her down. Eustacia Verlac. Born to Croesus Verlac, gave birth to one son, Wilhelm. Fled Anchorhead during the witch burnings of... Oh, there were actually witch burnings in Anchorhead, alright. Returned 10 years later, that's okay. Remained in hiding in Arkham for 10 years, then returned with his son in 1663, died 1686. The woman in the portrait is strikingly beautiful, with jet black hair that hangs down and past her shoulders like a shining velvet curtain. There is some semblance to the thin, cruel features of her father, but not the ragged, red-tinged madness about the eyes. Seems like that only runs in the males of the family, right? Eustacia's eyes are not red at all. They're cold and deep and very dark. So she's actually a Verlac and not just married to one, right? Born a Verlac, I mean. Croesus, we're gonna look that up too. So Eustacia Verlac is Wilhelm's mother. Lived in Arkham from 1653 to 63. Nothing else about her, right? So look up Croesus. Born the son of a provincial cabinet maker in the Höllental Valley circa 1590, fled Germany in 1620 to avoid charges of heresy. See, that runs in the whole family history. It's like charges of heresy or treason at the time of their life. But they are from Germany, so that makes sense. Also, Höllental means Hell Valley. And Höllental Valley actually is like Hell Valley. But yeah, makes sense. Like all this mysterious, diabolic background about the family. I don't even know if that exists really, Höllental Valley. I've never heard of it. They might have made it up. Came to the New World in 1622 with the ship Dawn Maiden, not the Mayflower. Founded the town of Anchorhead in 1624. Oh, they actually founded Anchorhead. Interesting. Began construction of Verlac Estate in 1625. Signed the non-aggression pact with Chief Chuaquaquat of the Miscat tribe in 1631. We've heard the Miscat tribe, we heard that name earlier. One of the researchers from the university wanted to research the history, but Mordecai wouldn't let him, right? Picture is a full-page black and white reproduction of the portrait hanging in the sitting room. Oh! So, okay. So that's Croceus. Underneath it, someone has scribbled in pencil, "His is our blood. He always returns to his blood." So, I guess Croceus Verlac. I guess we can say he's like the founder of the Verlac line, right? Or at least founder of Verlac line in the New World. Founded Anchorhead, but also a person with considerable power and influence, was at some point in his life accused of treason or heresy. Founded Anchorhead. When was Anchorhead founded? 1624. Built estate in 1625. Signed the non-aggression pact with Chief Chauquequa of the Miska tribe. Do you want to write these down? Is there anywhere I can read up on the chief or the Miscat tribe? Maybe in the university library. But I don't think I want to write that down specifically. His is our blood. He always returns to his blood. Almost feels like he's like his soul or whatever is reincarnated into the new male heirs of the Verlac line, right? Croceus Verlac. Right. So we have Eustacia, Croceus. Did I look up Heinrich yet? No. But Wilhelm. So let's look up Heinrich. Heinrich Verlac added Capula to the Verlac estate in 1759. Elected mayor of Anchorhead, of course, in 1765. Rebuilt the Miskoton River Mill in 1770. Led the Battle of Quatak Bend in the Miscat Uprising of 1772. Arrested as a royalist sympathizer in 1777. Was subsequently cleared of all charges. Completed construction of the lighthouse in 1795. Wait, what? Wasn't that somewhere else? Someone else? With the lighthouse? That was his grandfather, right? That was Wilhelm. But probably, like, Wilhelm probably died before it was finished. And then he finished it. Portraits of Heinrich as an older man, in his late 50s perhaps. The German ancestry shows through more clearly here. How? In the set of his jaw and the line of his forehead. That's how you recognize German ancestry? Okay. That's some racist BS, but okay. The eyes burn with aggressive pride, and perhaps a little of the madness which stained his gaze, the gaze of his ancestors as well. Again, so person of influence, deeply tied to the town of Anchorhead, built some buildings, rebuilt the mill. The mill is a recurring theme in the burning down and rebuilding of the mill, as are their sympathies or their accusations for treason. Cleared of all charges, though. I mean, it's also they get away with their charges of treason most of the time, right? Sometimes they like start doing something different, like the one became a painter, stopped being a reverend or whatever, but they don't actually get jailed or killed for that, usually. Or they flee. So what do I write down about Heinrich? He's Wilhelm's grandson. Yeah. built buildings. Mayor accused of royalist sympathies, and 1777 is obviously 1 year after the American independence, and royalist sympathizer would be a sympathizer to the English crown as opposed to the American Republic in this case, right? A sympathizer, or accused of royalist sympathies but cleared. Right, so we have Heinrich. So what I'm thinking now is whether, like, the Verlac curse, so to speak, gets passed down. It seems to get passed down only to male heirs, right? But does it skip a generation usually? Because it was, I mean, that's at least the people who are mentioned here, right? It's Heinrich and Wilhelm. And then Croesus is the founder, Eustacia is his daughter, and Wilhelm again. So Wilhelm is Croesus' grandson. Heinrich is Wilhelm's grandson. So it seems to skip a generation, even though between Croesus and Wilhelm there's Eustacia, which is a woman who don't seem to be affected, but they still seem to be counted as a generation, so to say. So what remains to be seen is if it affects like every male heir, or if it only if it also skips a generation and the line is all male. We'll have to find that out. What other people are there? I mean, I can bring this over. This has been expanded quite a bit now. So did we look at? We looked up Elijah, right? Did we look at Mordecai? No, not Elijah, Heinrich. Yeah. Look up Mordecai. And Mordecai is Elijah's grandson, right? Mordecai Verlac, currently residing in Anchorhead, attended seminary at Arkham College in 1906. I mean, it says currently because it was published in 1944, the book was, right? Ordained in 1912, re-established the Church of Celestial Wisdom in 1920, rebuilt the Miskatonic River Mill in 1922. The photograph depicts a man who has returned to his Puritan roots, dressed in Spartan black, hair clipped in archaic tonsure, clutching a Bible in his lap as he glares stoically at the camera. This is the kind of man who would whip his children for laughing on Sunday. His eyes still carry the Verlac madness, burning with single-minded righteousness. So, Mordecai. Reverend, spelled with a T, right? Is it? Reverend, it is. Prohibitionist. Very Puritan, apparently. Elijah's grandson, yeah. I mean, either the fathers aren't mentioned and the sons, or it actually skips a generation. Which would be interesting, because of course, I mean, I'm worried for Michael now, right? But the one before him, Edward, was obviously mad. So maybe it's not Michael who's gonna be drawn into this, but our child, rather. At least if our child is a boy. And I don't know if my character's pregnant here, but she doesn't seem to be. I don't know if this will come into play. Or wait though. I mean, no, wait. Obviously Michael is gonna be affected, right? Because Edward wasn't the next in line. The next in line would have been his children, even though they were daughters, I think, right? But it seems like daughters seem to count as a generation, even though they can't be affected themselves. So he killed his daughters, so then the next in line, even though it's not like a clear line, but the next in order of succession, basically, after his daughters are dead, will be Michael, so he'll be affected again. Shit. Okay. So that's why the shopkeeper said, take this amulet and, I don't know, protect Michael. He'll need all the help he can get. So yeah, I think that's where the story is going. Anyhow, so Mordecai, anything else about him? Yeah, he's also like building buildings, influential man in town, later on accused of treason. Also looks most like the sitting room portrait. I can delete that from Heinrich. Or Elijah rather, sorry. And add it to Croceus. Depicted in sitting room portrait. Right. I'm wondering why Anna isn't in there. She was born in 36. She was Edward's and William's mother. Obviously, Edward went mad. So, Anna's father was most likely Mordecai? Right? Anna was born in 1936 and Mordecai was like 70 in the 50s, so he would have been 50 or something. Would have been a late father. Also, he was a reverend. But he was a Protestant reverend, he wasn't Catholic or something, right? So they could have children, obviously. Yeah, okay. Or, I mean... Also, the Church of the Celestial Wisdom, is that the old, decrepit church that we found earlier, where we can't get inside because it's boarded up and the trapdoor is locked with a padlock? That we could smash if we had like a heavy rock or something. Yeah, I think that's everyone we can look up in here, right? Couple of people who disappeared. So there's like lots of children disappearing over the ages. Lots of themes that keep repeating here, it seems. So yeah, my theory just is that there's like a soul or a demon or whatever that's possessed the Verlac line, which explains their dabbling in, or the accusations of them dabbling in witchcraft and stuff, and heresy. And also the repetitions through history of certain motifs. Interesting, very interesting. Do I want to look up anything in the manual? I don't know what though. Put album in code. Take manual. Look up disk in manual. But I do have the manual out. Look up flute in manual. Look up amulet in manual. Put manual in code. X amulet. It's an unassuming silver pendant hanging from a thin leather thong, fashioned in the shape of a tiny upturned hand with a triangle inscribed in the palm. Reminds you a little of one of those cast pewter game pieces from Monopoly. Put amulet in pocket. I'll save here. Get up. Yeah. Show Michael the amulet. Show Michael amulet. Okay. Right, so what did I want to do next? That's right, I wanted to go south, west, down, west, north, north. Right, we're at the path behind the house, northwest, and we're in the family plot. Old moss slime tombstones, many broken off and leaning crazily like an old man's teeth, poke up from soft, mulchy earth. In their midst stands an ancient marble crypt. Its heavy iron door nearly obscures the thick draperies of ivy. The trees press close around this quiet enclave of death, leaning together over your head as if sharing secrets. A gap in the undergrowth to the southeast reveals a narrow gravel path. I love these descriptions. They're very evocative and spooky. The woods are ancient, thick with undergrowth and full of shadows. Branches creak, leaves rustle beneath unseen, half-imagined footsteps, and strange bird calls echo through the trees. Listen. The furtive creaking of branches and the soft rustling of leaves are all that you hear. So there's a crypt here. Grimly carved letters over the door spell out a single name, Verlac. Spooky. Enter crypt. It seems to be locked. Unlock door. You go through all the keys in your keyring, trying each one in turn, and after several false attempts you discover that the old-fashioned iron key fits the lock. You unlock the iron door. Open door. You open the iron door. And with that, before entering the crypt, we'll take a quick break.